Welcome everyone to this April meeting of the Saginaw City Planning Commission. If you are here to present a case, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and make a presentation. We may ask you questions for clarity or for more information. A simple majority vote of the members present will decide your request. If you're here to speak in the public comment phase, please also come to the podium, give us your name and address, direct your comments to the commission. We have no time limit, but brevity is appreciated. Always. So, roll call, please.
Thomas Braley. Clint Bryant.
Present.
Fred Zorko.
Here.
Jim Doan.
Here.
Robert Hanley.
Here.
Yolanda Jones.
Present.
Floyd Clark.
Here.
Jack Nash.
Present.
Jim Nightingale.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Very good. Next item on our agenda is approval of the February 26th meeting minutes. We have those, I think, email and snail mail. So, are there any additions, corrections to the minutes?
Move adoption as printed.
Support. Been moved and adopted. We approve the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have our agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Support.
Been moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Which gets us directly to our first item of business. Case number J19-008, the ice cream shop on Atwater. I was told by a confidential source that we were going to get free samples tonight. I was not able to independently confirm.
Oh, well, yeah, well, maybe later, but we, my name is Jim Shafley from Kingdom Builders Ministries, and just a brief history on who we are. I started the ministry in October of 2012, and our first project was a house on Ansley, and that's where my wife and I now live. Since then, we have purchased over 51 vacant lots from the land bank. 32 of those lots have 480 fruit trees on them between apple and peach trees. We have 14 honeybee hives, and currently we have 6 people working for us. The basis of our ministry is that we work with people coming out of prison that are re-entering society, and we work with them and give them entry-level jobs, and so that we can show them the grace and of teaching them work ethics, emotional control, and budgeting, and so that they're ready to actually go out into the world and get a real job. So everything our parents taught us in life, that's kind of what we teach. So Kingdom Cones is the next step for us. Right now we have orchards, bees, we have a construction contingency, we have lawn care. Phil Irway here runs the lawn care business, and so ice cream and desserts is kind of the next step for us. And it allows us those entry-level jobs also. And so Dr. Shaheen was very gracious in offering us that building to be able to use. And so I think we would be the only soft-serve ice cream store. I think Woody's is the closest one on Bay Road, I believe. And so I guess that's it. I think questions.
Do we have any questions about this project? There is no parking issue, I think. Is that correct? There's parking.
Existing parking, they don't have to do any new asphalt or anything, so this project actually did not have to go to engineering. So they will have to go to building code inspectors, but besides us, they don't have anybody else to approve of them right away.
When we visited this site several years ago, I think there was a proposal to open a walk-up coffee shop. I recall a lot of discussion about the condition of the area that would be the parking lot. I've looked at it, and it's not in real good shape. And I'm wondering if there are any plans for any kind of, looks to me like there's a couple places where there's voids in the concrete, one place where there's looks like a drainage pipe in the middle of it that seems to be full of water. And I'm wondering what plans you have for bringing it up to some kind of condition.
We'd probably work with Dr. Shaheen on that since he owns the property, but my understanding is that we would have to get a new sewer drain put in because the drain is older than 50 years, I think, is my understanding on that. And so any of that concrete that would have to be removed from Atwater Street across, we would replace and then match in properly. Then if I would love it if you guys could give us a year or two to make sure that we're running a proper profit, that we could actually then afford the improvements. If that's possible, I don't know, but that would be something that would, at least a year, so that we can show that we've started to pull a profit. Because it's, the equipment alone is costing us $35,000 for all the ice cream equipment and the sinks and so forth. Yep. So I don't know if that's possible. If not, then we'd have to address it. But.
Yes,
Hi, I'm new, but I hope I can ask a question.
you certainly can.
The addition you're going to put on under the awning,
Yes, sir.
is that going to take out the wall that's in between?
No, we're going to make the addition at Dr. Shaheen's request. We're going to make the addition something that can be removed in the future. So it's in a sense a temporary addition. So we're going to bolt it to the concrete floor. It's actually, the concrete is sawn out already or divided underneath that overhang awning, so that as long as we can keep it heated all year long, we won't have frost issues and frost heave issues. So we'll be able to just make that, in a sense, a temporary, not, it's something that could be removed if the Historical Society wanted to do something with it later on.
All right, that was the first part of the question. The second part is, you're not putting windows in, or you are putting windows in on the two street sides? I wasn't clear.
Yeah, Atwater Street would be the side where all the service is. It's all walk-up. There's no eating in it. It's strictly a walk-up ice cream store. And there's already a very large window on the Washington Street side.
Okay.
So
you aren't changing the structure in the existing walls, you're just going to have the addition have the serving?
That is correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we're working with Thomas Mudd to stay as historically correct as we can in all the additions.
Okay, when is this addition going to happen?
We are tidying up a construction job. We should be done in another week or two, and we'd like to start as soon as then. Yep.
All right, well, because I was a little confused because you said that you needed 1 or 2 years, and if you're coming in here with a plan, then you're doing something immediately.
Yeah, I'm
Pretty
sorry.
much.
I just wanted time to show, time to develop a profit, so that, selling enough ice cream that
When
we
you
had
do
enough.
other improvements, is that what you're saying? When you do other improvements,
I'm sorry?
when are you doing this addition?
Oh, immediately.
Immediately.
But as far as we have it budgeted right now for $95,000, $60,000 in addition and $35,000 in equipment. And so we did not have parking lot improvement figured in those figures. And so we'd like maybe a year to sell enough ice cream maybe to be able to pay for the parking lot improvements. So that's what I meant by that. So, yeah.
Question for Ms. Miller, is there any issue at all with drainage or the sewer outlet in the parking lot at all, or?
Not that I'm aware of, I guess. When I've been over there in the past, yes, the concrete hasn't been the nicest. I thought it was cracked, but I haven't noticed that there was
It's more than correct.
water standing. But I haven't been over there after it rained or
Yeah.
anything specifically.
The only place I
to
saw
look at.
water standing is what looks like a big, maybe 10-inch pipe that's in the middle, in one of the, part of it, not in the middle, but it's close to it, and it's full of water.
Okay. I guess I haven't seen that, I'm not sure.
Me either, I don't think I've ever been over there right after it's rained either to see that, but we
Well,
definitely want to address that.
There's
so.
a pipe that sounds like, I'll need to talk to engineering, I guess, about that. I can't believe there would be an exposed pipe.
When this issue came up, when Dawn Goodrow was here with the coffee shop, I think what we ended up doing was, in the motion, I think there was something to the effect that it was contingent upon improvements as necessary to prevent them from having to come back here if they were going to do a new parking lot, you know.
That was about 3 or 5 years ago. That's exactly what happened.
Okay,
So I think that maybe
we
with the
could put
motion.
that in there.
So if I understand correctly, then that issue of a new parking lot is what would have required engineering approval then.
Yes,
So,
because then it messes with the stormwater retention
Right.
of the site, so that's when they would get involved.
well, I guess my question then is this really an issue engineering should first take a look at or not?
No, they don't have to look at it first. We can approve it contingent on engineering's approval. And then they can look at it after.
Okay. Which we have done in the past with
Yeah.
other projects. So, are there any other questions? If not, I will entertain a motion on this case. Anyone?
Okay, I move that we approve case J190008 with the addition of the approval of engineering on the drainage at their discretion. Also, we can add on that we could give them as needed time to work on improvements with their parking lot.
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. Any other comments? If not, I would entertain a vote on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
We'd like to see it.
Who doesn't like ice cream? No one. Our next item is case number 0009, Hess Pickle Company Connection on Hess Avenue.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is John Morey with D&M Site Surveying and Engineering. We are the civil engineers on this project. With me tonight, I got Jake Golden with Spence Brothers, the general contractor, and Tim Hosbeck, the owner of Hosbeck Pickle. This site is at 1626 Hess Road in the city. And little history on this project, or on this site, rather. In 1906, a couple of the Morley brothers went down to Cleveland, Ohio, and bought the Lufkin Rule Company and moved it from Cleveland, Ohio, up to Saginaw, Michigan. By 1916, this piece of property was completely filled with buildings for the Lufkin Rule Company. So that gives you a little insight on the property, on the history of the property. By 1969, I think it was, the Lufkin Rule Company sold and abandoned the site. Since then, all these buildings have been tore down. A firm out of, it was Galladade Companies came in and started doing some tooling work for General Motors. The Hosbecks bought the property in 2005 and moved their operation, their processing operation over here. Tim's going to be able to talk about that here in a minute. What I just wanted to go over here is, this is the existing property as it sits right now between Owen and Glenwood, south side of Hess. And the existing, there's about 40,000 square foot warehouse there right now that services the processing that the Hospec's do in the facility next to it here. This is the proposed addition. It is a 73,000 square foot warehouse addition, along with two 10,000 square foot. One would be a refrigerated storage, and one would be a rework building. And Tim's going to be able to explain what that means to you. From an infrastructure standpoint, so the total is 94,000 square feet for what's planned. The site utilities, the only thing that we are doing at this point is bringing in a 6-inch water fire line so that this facility is sprinkled. And the sanitary will be extended out of the existing facility. And our storm sewer, we are not putting in any new pavement, new parking areas. So the storm sewer that's shown has been sized for future addition. We do have another 70,000 square foot addition future planned, and so we sized the detention area for this future addition. We are going to outlet with a restrictor over to Prescott Avenue. We had a meeting with Beth London and the city and worked out some of the details for our infrastructure. Per the city requirement, the warehouse requirement for parking is one spot for 1,700 square feet, which is 112 parking spaces required based on that. Because of what this is going to be used for, it's going to be just used for the pallets with the product ready to get shipped out. It's not going to be manufacturing in this facility. I wanted to bring up Tim and let him kind of discuss kind of some of the inner workings here so you can kind of see what his flow pattern is and why everything's positioned on the site plan where it is. And then Jake's going to talk about the actual building itself.
Well, good evening, everybody. This is a plan that I wish I could have been here before 8 years ago. Our warehousing needs have continued to increase. When we first bought this building in 2005, we rehabbed the existing building that was done by Galladay, and then we added this warehouse. Since then, we've added another building, all part of our master plan on how we were going to develop this site. But as our sales grew, we didn't have the cash to keep adding to that master plan. So for the last 8 years, we've been renting warehouse space out in Bridgeport. First was the old Super Foods building. We were renting about a third of that building. New owners came in a year and a half ago, bought the building, and unfortunately doubled our rent, and we couldn't afford it, so we had to find a new location. We found the Dixie Cut Stone, or the old plastic building down the street, which we've been in there for about a year now, but that property has not worked out. We spent money there, but it's just not an ideal site. Plus, we spent a lot of money moving inventory from one location to the next. The nice thing about this building, it's going to be really energy efficient like our other warehouse, so our carbon footprint gets reduced. We have less semis on the road going from here to Bridgeport and then going out again. But, so this property here and potential future expansion is to alleviate the need for outside warehousing. We still may have some overflow that we will utilize central warehouse, which is right there on Remington. It's close. But they don't have enough needs for us for all the capacity. This is going to be roughly 6,400 pallet positions in this warehouse. It's going to be kind of tall. There's going to be, imagine 6 pallets, 6 high, or pallets going 6 high. So it's going to be a little bit taller than the existing building. This building here, as John mentioned, we're going to be getting into refrigerated pickles. It's a growing product for pickle companies. We haven't done it, and the biggest restrictor for us is not having refrigerated warehousing. And there's no refrigerated warehousing around, so we can't even rent it. So it's time that we need to add it. We've been kind of playing around with it. This rework area is whenever, the product that we put into is flexible pouches. Imagine a big hot dog bag in the boxes. Sometimes they leak. So we have to do a repacking, restacking operation. We do that in Bridgeport and we do a little bit in this building, but if we're going to combine it all, we need space for that. Then there's, over here, this area is going to be for our produce receiving. We don't have enough room for it right now. So, and that's also a cold storage building. So sometimes in the summer, when it's really hot, we've had some product, if we're not able to get to it quick enough, spoil on us and we have to throw it away before we even get to process it. So that will help alleviate some of those issues. But that's an area that here that we secured and bought from, it was actually an abandoned site, and we bought that a couple of years ago and cleaned it up. There was an old abandoned building. We removed that so that we can at least do that. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Tim, that last thing you just mentioned, but that's not before us right now. That's a future phase.
No, this will be part of this phase.
Well, we're calling it Phase 2 so
Okay.
that we can get rolling with the warehouse and
Oh, but that is part of the current project.
no,
So,
no, we'll be back.
We're going to be back again. All right.
Yes.
Just what they have highlighted on there.
Okay.
In
Yeah.
All
red,
right, thanks for correcting.
okay.
Yes.
You're just
We'll be
overeager.
back again for this.
We just thought it was going to be easier to get this first warehouse started and get everything going and then
Yeah, the idea is, because our lease will be up at the other building, so it's important that this gets done first.
yeah.
But yeah, so then, thank you, John, we'll be back again for this.
Yeah, we'll have a few more infrastructure issues over there, possibly a driveway, and then getting into the existing. See, we're not utilizing any of the existing storm sewer on this phase, but the position of the new buildings, we'll have to reconfig some of the existing storm sewer and the detention on that side of the site, on the west side. So we just kind of thought it was going to be easier. Let's get this first phase approved and get rolling on it, and then we'll come back for,
And the first one includes all three of the red outlined areas, just to be clear.
yes.
Okay.
This is a question for Mr. History Guy. Was there another pickles, another
Yes, there was.
facilities at
The
the
Daily
corner?
Pickle Plant.
Yeah,
No,
was there?
no, it was Heinz.
Heinz, right across the street.
It was where our facility is.
Yeah, that was by-
That's my neighborhood.
That's my-
Okay, it was
we-
across the street.
Yeah,
And I'm just saying,
It was not, yeah, the Daily Pickle Plant was.
It's closer to Sheridan.
is on the other, yeah.
Go over by
There used to be
Sheridan.
ice skating rink in front too,
Yeah.
because I was there.
So it's kind of a pickle neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, when we bought that site, it was already, the whole site was zoned to have a pickle company, so.
it was.
Have it rezoned.
Because Fred and I went to the same junior high.
We did.
That's around the
And my
corner.
mother died in 2008, and when I would drive past there, because she still lived on Glenwood, right, 3100 block, I'd want to go to Subway to get a sandwich, because I could smell the peppers being processed. I'm like, Subway!
Well, you know, our first house, I only spent the first year and a half of my life was on Lowell, which.
Lowell.
here,
Oh, right there?
Actually up here, excuse me.
Okay.
As you know, my brother Joe, he spent most, his all the way up through high school at this location. But
Am I right that these facilities replace and, at least in the case of the warehouse, enlarge what you now have?
yes,
But the two smaller ones, are those brand new? You don't have facilities like that now?
Yeah, the refrigerated
You're not
area,
gonna,
correct.
you're not gonna have tank yards there, you're just gonna processing.
right, and warehousing. But I'm sorry,
So those are actually new,
these are all new construction, yes.
but I mean, that's not something you have now, that refrigerated facility?
No, we do not have that now.
Tim, what's the need for the refrigeration?
Customer demand, we're seeing more people, that market is growing. Right now, we deal with fermented, there's three types of pickles. You can take a fresh cucumber, ferment it, which is what we do. You can take a fresh cucumber and pasteurize it while it's in this container and sterilize it. Or you take a fresh cucumber and and package it and put it in cold storage so that any microorganisms that are present are going to grow and cause that product to spoil or ferment. But that market seems to be growing, and we've been, the only thing that's kept us from doing it is not having cold storage. So 10,000 square feet isn't a lot. It'll allow us to maybe sell about 100,000 5-gallon pails a year.
More
So
night.
So-
But the nice thing about it is if the market takes off, the master plan will allow that building to grow out.
That's more than I can eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, typically that product is sold at room temperature, is it not?
No. So for instance, a big customer that actually went from fermented to cold pack is Wendy's. All the Wendy's in the US went to a refrigerated product.
But
There are
I'm,
some supply issues that they're considering going back to a fermented product. But it's like a Clausen style, that when you go to your Kroger's or Meijer, you're gonna find that jar of pickles always in the cold storage area, in those
okay.
open coolers.
yeah, and I'm always,
If you get it to warm temperature, it will start to ferment, and then, you would
it's,
top the top on the container. People prefer it to taste still like a cucumber with dill and garlic flavoring.
They like the snap of the,
Yeah, it's crunchier.
I know.
okay. Yeah, I mean, normally, if I'm out shopping, it's always, in a room temperature setting where you find, the dills and the bread and butters and all that
Those
stuff.
ones have been either fermented or they've been sterilized in the container.
Oh, okay.
Pasteurized, so you're killing off any foodborne pathogens or any bacteria in there. So nothing can grow.
Yeah,
So that's why it's shelf stable.
okay, interesting.
Well, that's one of the issues, the cross-contamination for the Phase 2 building. Do you want to tell them about that?
Yes, I do. The Food Safety Modernization Act is putting more and more things for food processors to follow. Right now, in my production facility and in this building, I receive produce in this area right here through 3 loading dock doors. And I don't have to do it yet, but we will need to keep that separate from our packaging area with a clearly defined wall to prevent cross-contamination. FDA is going to force us to do that. This allows me to get one step ahead of that as well. And I need, there's a lot of reasons that does a lot of checking off a lot of boxes, but that will be one to get ahead of new laws that will be coming out.
So how far along are you with your plans in Phase 2? Or is it just speculative?
No, Phase 2 is going to happen. It's all part of the project that we're going to be, getting financing for. Because of the speed of what that one needed to do, we'll be back probably again next month, I would think. So it's literally going to happen, before this other project is done. As long as you guys approve it, we would start Phase 2 right away.
So eventually, the whole block is going to be bigger than the Lufkin buildings. Eventually.
I don't know about that.
I mean, the scope of the blocks, right? Not as big, but the length of the building.
If you go east, like in
Yeah.
Phase 3, you're gonna be the footprint of Lufkin probably.
Right. Because
And again, that's,
That's
from
in
a
the
master
future.
planning standpoint, as we met, for planning, is making sure that storm retention is going to be big enough, so we don't have to,
Right, the city agreed to give us one storm tap to service this building and the future addition. And so that's why we wanted to plan the size of something down the line, so we're going to have detention that's sized and we don't have to go down that road again.
So construction will begin when?
Well, why don't we bring Jake up here and he can talk about the actual building itself and.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All things go well, we have a design meeting tomorrow in Tim's office to lay out what we have so far. It's going to be a red iron building, flat roof, PVC, membrane, flat roof, tapered insulation, downspouts, gutters. As they talked about before, the storm line right now is going to go on the back side of the building and tie in this pond and come across to Prescott. When we build in the future, we just bulkhead that off and run the storm back around and still tie into the pond. Depending on how the meeting goes tomorrow with the direction that Tim has given us, we're going to sit down with the architects and lay out the plan, we hope to be starting within 6-7 weeks. So we'd like to be going by, no later than middle of the summer, so we can do our best to be done by the end of the year.
Good.
I believe
So
you're
how many,
end of December.
Actually, our lease is over, end of September or October, I can't remember which, if it's beginning or ending of October, but they have agreed to give us month by month.
Yeah, so we wanna,
so how long do you think, how many months for completion?
6 months?
yeah, probably 6 months to do it.
No, because we're gonna have to give you a month time, so it'd probably be, say, because you should ask for 8.
Yeah, probably 8 or 9.
Yeah, because we only usually give 6. So to be on the safe side, you should say January 1st.
Then January 1st, yes, sir.
Okay.
We just, if you finish it sooner, of course, we're
Right,
happy,
yeah.
we're happy too, with Tim.
All the dirt that's gonna come out, we're gonna plan on burning up, that's what you see here. So most of it, if not all of it, can stay on site.
The site is a brownfield.
So we've got some issues to work through on that.
So this is a berm right here, that's on the side, okay, all right.
How tall?
Yeah, I was like, okay, is that a pond or,
Over here is the
just
retention pond, so the storm's gonna come around, go to the retention, then be restricted down into the new tap that John talked about.
so trying to collect as much water on the site and let it soak in naturally before it hits the
Yes, sir.
city.
Yeah. We did a half a dozen soil borings on this site, and 4 corners of the new building, 1 in the middle, and we didn't hit anything. We went down 3.5 feet and hit some pretty good clay, which is a good thing. For how many buildings were on this property, there's no telling once we start digging what we hit, how that goes. So, got our fingers crossed that our soil borings are gonna be accurate and we're not gonna come up with any
So
surprises.
the footings you're more concerned about.
Yeah.
In 2006, when we did do the first addition, the 40,000 square foot warehouse, we did run into the basement of Lufkin Rule, which added a bigger expense to trying to create a strong enough foundation. But if you've noticed the building, if you've driven by it, I hope you think it's a good, nice looking building. It's, and that's one of the reasons why my brother Joe and I wanted to stick with the structural steel. Jake called it red iron, but it's a better, stronger, better looking building, I think, than a pre-engineered building. It allows us a little more freedoms to do more things. So it's gonna look just like the one that's there now, just be a little taller.
The other one now is gonna be close to 40 feet tall. So, and then to touch on this real quick, this one here, we're gonna be talking about that in the design as well. So, but again, just because this is hot, we want to get here now, we're back in a month or 2 to talk about this. So.
Do we have any other questions about the project?
This is a question for staff. Do any of the residents, did they have to be notified about this project? Because it's already zoned for that,
Yeah,
correct?
Yep.
It's already there.
pickle zoning, already in there.
We're zoned M1.
Yep, yeah, the only issue would be eventually maybe with parking, but with this one.
There's no issues.
And if we have to, we could always go get a variance for the parking, if we needed to do that, so. Yeah, nothing, no issues with this at all. It's a great project.
Yes, it is. Okay, if there are no other questions or comments, I would entertain a motion on the project.
I move that we approve case J19009, if I can see how many zeros that is. With the addition of everything being approved by engineering.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Forward ahead.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
Our next item is number 0007, alley vacation down on Gallagher, South Washington, Wisner, and Douglas. We talked about this once before, as I recall, so.
Yep, so I sent you a map, so it's the exact same alley as we went over in February.
Yep.
But there was a new form in the clerk's office, so we had to bring it through again, so. The alleyway is going, we want to vacate it, the city approached me to do it. After we approve it, it will have to go to council, and then they will have to approve it as well, so. All of the properties zoned in front of it along South Washington are commercially zoned. They're, Business One, I believe, and they're too shallow really for any type of business to purchase them. So this alleyway will give enough room for a bigger developer. We did at one point have a dollar store interested, but they actually want to move a little bit, just 2 blocks, I believe, north of that site. But it's still great to get this preliminarily done so that when a developer does come back, we have it all ready for them.
Isn't this corner for sale? Is it for sale?
The city and the land bank own all of it except for one
One corner.
one property, which is technically on the street below it, Wisner.
I know I saw a for sale sign.
Oh, okay.
For
It,
some.
it could be, I mean, the city and the land bank own it, so it's probably for sale, yeah.
To clarify, if we vacate the alley, the area outlined in red, then is everything then within the white lines a single property?
No, so the alleyway will just be vacated.
Yeah.
So everything just stays this way that it is. The alley will show as its own property essentially.
Okay.
And the engineering is going to keep a, easement for the utilities that are underneath. So just so that, you can't build over the exact where the utility is.
As a practical matter, though, wouldn't someone, if they were interested at all, they would probably want this area vacated and what's adjacent to it, I would think.
Well, adjacent to that is all of the other properties. So I guess I'm confused.
Oh, okay, so,
So all of those properties on South Washington are owned by the city or the land bank?
no,
So they
I'm-
could purchase multiples of those and then the
I
alleyway?
don't mean those properties, I mean the properties to the east of the alley being vacated. It looks like all of that area is also vacant.
East, so toward South Washington, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No, not toward South Washington, the
That'd be
other way,
west.
toward the
West then.
Oh, west?
West.
It says City of Saginaw.
So
Yeah, a couple of those are owned by the city too. Almost that entire block is empty. There's about 4 or 5 houses, and it looks like one of them is lived in, maybe 2 are. But yeah, so west of there, the city also owns that. So if they wanted to build on that side street, they could, on Gallagher. But I would think most likely they would face South Washington.
We did reach out to them, correct? Nobody responded
Yep,
that lives in those homes?
yeah. I reached out to them. I had to go get a signature, from the lady, and she had no problem with it.
Was it Moira?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which one?
Yep, and then the other ones are, Tim Novak and then Tim Morales, because the city and the land bank. Yeah, her property is on Wisner, all the way to the south of the alleyway.
That's Rivera.
So as far as we
That's
know,
the- yeah,
we
that's-
have no issue that would in the least complicate.
Yeah.
How did this end up being a dead end? Any idea?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's just a partial alleyway. Yeah, usually they go all the way through. It's really rare that they're not.
Well, I think back in the day that all those little parcels were businesses. I think I was a
Probably.
little kid when I remember that.
Yeah, I would think that would have been, because they are all zoned commercial, that would have been their alleyway to pick up their trash and
Yeah, those-
deliver their stuff.
Well, the whole thing was another little downtown down
You're
there.
right.
Yeah,
Everything.
There was a movie theater down there.
Movie theater. Yeah.
yep. And that's right by, on the one side of the block is, what did they just rename the healthcare?
No.
Great Lakes Bay Health is on the one side, and then on the other side is a gas station, so it makes perfect sense to have commercial there.
Well, technically, this was the city of Salina, right? Back 1,000 years ago. Yeah, that was Salina.
You are right.
1,000 years ago? I don't know, I didn't look that far
Maybe
back.
not that.
No, this was Salina.
Okay.
Jack is very old.
Very nods,
And I know much about the city of Saginaw.
Yeah.
This was Salina.
It was.
So, if there are no questions
Well, I
concerning,
do want to check one thing. You said that this would remain a separate piece of property. I'm not sure about that, because normally when we vacate, I think it normally reverts
Well,
to
when we,
the neighboring properties.
Goes on either, it goes 50, it goes right down.
Right.
50 on either
But
side.
it's all land bank or city, but that still might end up dividing up some of how it is.
So say that again?
If it were divided 50-50, the city of Saginaw on the, let's say, on the east side would get half of it, but all of these other properties, some are land bank, some are city, so that would divide up a
Oh,
little bit.
yes, I see, yeah.
It would be different lots that might own part of that. Now, it's still a good, it's still a public that owns it.
Yeah.
And presumably someone could come in and acquire all of that big lot because it's public that owns it.
Exactly.
But it doesn't sit there as a separate lot, I don't believe.
Yes, you're correct.
Technically, you're
Right.
right, technically.
Okay.
It's
But the
no
property
man's land.
lines won't technically,
Well, they would extend into that
50%.
alley 50-50 for each of the property lines, is what I understand. So anyway, but that's just a change, to be correct about who owns what after that.
After that part.
Yeah. Anyway,
So, unless there are further comments, I will entertain a motion on this project.
Yep, I move that we approve case J190007. Very good. As written by the city.
Support. Been moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. I do not see anyone here for public comment.
I have a couple updates for you.
They're very
So-
small. So
You're
we will go
curious.
right to your updates.
We are.
Also, I was going to mention for Houseback Pickle, I'm glad that you put in the engineering review, because they have been working with engineering like they said, but they are not fully approved yet. They're still working on stormwater retention. That has been the issue for all of my updates. The solutions for automation, I've been working with them a lot. We approved them November, so October. It was been a while, and they took quite a while to come back. They had a lot of parking issues, if you remember. They're on the southwest side of Saginaw. Engineering right now is working on some kind of compromise for their stormwater retention because they just can't hold enough of it on their site. They're going to try to limit the requirements for them. I just spoke with Beth London earlier today. They had agreed to put in sewer down Hamilton Street, about halfway down the street, so that Solutions for Automation can just connect straight out instead of having to go all the way down the street, because that portion of Hamilton doesn't have any water or sewer in it at all. So they're going to start putting that in within a month. Hopefully, she said hopefully next week or 2 weeks, but sometimes that doesn't happen, so I'm gonna say hopefully in a month, they will have that done. So yeah, that project is moving along, hopefully will take place this summer. The mustard seed got approved in February, and they are moving forward as well, but they're having some issues with the stormwater retention calculations as well. But I've been in contact with Amy, and their fundraising is going great, so hopefully they'll get approved by engineering, and then they had said they want to start at the end of summer, so hopefully, seems like they're still on track for that timeline.
Cassie, did we get anything from, I noticed I was going down 13 and there's a party store that we had approved. And I think Jack might have brought it up before about the window.
Yeah.
What is going on?
I guess I need to ask Mike. I had been told about that, and then I went back to Mike because that was still in
And it
his
looks like
time.
they're becoming, I mean, they're
Have they fixed
moving
it or
forward
not?
with the project and it's full of bricks. And that was one condition that we were very specific on, that they needed to have windows in there when it faced that Washington.
Yeah, echoing Clint, I think with us from now on,
Yeah.
if we ever do that again, we get to bring them back to see the plans again. Because
Yeah.
once they go down to the city, they pull a permit, it's over.
And guess what?
Good
They said, they put a window in.
And I was just, I mean, there's like there's a brick outline of it where the window should be, but it's full of bricks.
And we specifically
But I
did not
thought there
want
was
Yeah.
a window there.
like that big.
Right, but
we
they,
didn't
but
want
they
it that-
satisfied what we said, a
No,
window.
we told them we
But I
couldn't do
know, I get you, but they're probably gonna come
Once they
back.
pull a permit, it's over.
And further on that point, if you have noticed, we approved the Dollar General store on Genesee. with a window in the front. But what do they have? They have a window frame. It's black. You're not looking in the building. It's not a window. So all the more reason for us to keep better track of what people actually do.
Well, keep better track of what the plans are that we want to have versus what's submitted to the city.
And maybe specifically say the size of window, you know?
Or specifically saying this has to come back.
Right.
And I think unfortunately, it will be with some builders versus other builders.
Yeah. With this solutions for automation, I had said I would give it to you once I see the plan. I still haven't because they still have to figure out how much parking they can have and how much grass and everything to fix the stormwater retention issues. But yeah, that one, I think one of the big issues was that sometimes we do the conditions and then the inspectors don't know, they think it just got approved the way it was, and so they don't require those conditions. So I attached them with the plans.
I noticed that you have given us a copy of the master plan. I assume there is some.
Oh, yes. Yes, so we need to update our master plan.
Every 5 years.
Yes, so we're a little bit over that.
We
We got an
are.
extension, but, I got you all printed copies, so hopefully you guys wanna read them. It's a lot of pages, but, if you wanna look through them and make some notes and things, and I would like to, this summer, we're going to have some money set aside. I wanna put together a charrette and everything, but I'd really like to get some of your guys' ideas so that we have something concrete to start with. So,
So you're thinking this summer we would be into this?
yeah.
Is there a deadline for what it is?
City Council has approved a resolution through December of 2019.
Yeah.
So we got a couple weeks, huh?
Yeah.
So I would like you guys to try to have comments by either the next meeting or the meeting after that, you know, and then by probably July's not a good meeting to really set up big charrettes, so maybe August-ish we would set up some charrettes. And we've had a few conversations, couple department heads and I and Yolanda. We want to do a parking study to include in here because that's obviously a big issue right now. We want to do some other traffic type of studies and things like that in downtown. Kind of broaden what this plan is, as well as get ideas, like we have in the past for these types of plans.
I don't know the answer to this, but does the master plan include bicycle paths, for example?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. It should.
Yep,
You're right, I understand. I think that's something I'd like to.
yep.
No, I think that's in there.
I have a question. So is this going to be a full rehab, or are we just going to go through and update specific sections?
I think that some maybe could be updated. I'd like to add in, like I said, the parking plan. We don't have any kind of recreational plan in here either. So I was thinking maybe I want to get with, I want to get with the county parks a little bit and see what they have, because if we could pull parts of theirs at least, because the cohesion is what is important, especially when you're applying for grants and things. If the city doesn't have anything, bike lanes is part of recreation, along with parks and everything else. So,
Go ahead. Does this have anything to work with the Adopt-A-Park groups? Because they're part of that, should be part of the thing, because there are several of it, the Hoyt Park.
oh, like
for
the
example.
Friends of Hoyt
Yeah, I
Park.
mean, they should be in here because they're developing that park. And there's Bliss Park and Wicks Park, all of which are being done by, we want to be part of that, have that part of our plan, I would think.
I don't know, Yolanda, you were part of this before, right?
Yes, I was.
Who else was part of it the last time? I don't,
It was just
Brett?
actually
I
just
think,
me right now, right?
no,
Just the three of us?
just the three of us. I don't think there's much on recreation in this whole thing. That's one thing we really harped on.
Because there's no recreation department within the
Right.
city.
I know, but I'm saying there's nothing, not that, it just was not looked at. It was kind of overlooked in this
Right.
master plan.
Right, that's what I was saying, it's missing.
That's what,
Wasn't there a recreational plan completed by, with the cooperation of Department of Public Services at some point?
yeah, but where is it?
See, yeah. But I wanna look
Good
into some of these.
question.
And we just got certified with RRC, so we have economic development strategy, we have a retail and commercial market study, we have a new marketing, I guess probably wouldn't, I don't know if we would want that in
I
there or
even
not,
think-
probably not, but pulling in some recreation, more about the parking plan, like, I think that it's not quite
If you-
inclusive of everything, it really focuses on land use.
Right.
A lot on land use.
It does.
Which
But
a master plan should, but it should have everything. It's the master, it's not
on
just a
page
land use
80,
plan.
on page 80, you're gonna see something a little bit about the river loop and the river. So there
Okay.
is some reference to some recreation and gateways to the community, so.
Yeah, Fred, your name's in print in the front. I'm okay.
Yeah. Don't like fix like spelling errors or whatever. Just do broad ideas of things.
Oh, yeah?
We will do it.
Yes, I would appreciate it. So far, well, I guess I'm not sure if house spec is gonna come back. So far, I don't have anything for next month, so you might have 2 months before
Get
we
it in.
meet, but it's still early.
In his situation, he could have done both of them at the same time.
Yes, he could have, but I asked them if they were going to
Because-
and they didn't want to.
Because I think, if I remember, with the development on Hamilton Street, with Shaheen's development, with the condos,
They did it all at once.
well, we kind of said 1, 2, 3, it's supposed to be 1, 2, 3, but that was like 1 equals 3. So they didn't come back again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I offered them, I mean, because I was like, if it's only gonna be within a year, you could do that, and they, for some reason, they were telling me it was going to be 2 years or so down the road that they were gonna do the next expansion, so I'm not
Well,
sure.
they seem to be really interested in getting the phase
First one,
one
down.
really
Yeah.
nailed down. So
Yeah.
I
So,
guess that makes sense.
it would have
That makes
been,
sense.
I would think, just as easy to get phase 1 and 2 from us, because they're already going to engineering for it, but,
So,
Aw.
question for you, Cassie.
yes.
When do you want our comments? You want us to bring it to you at the next meeting, or do you want us to email you how you want to receive it?
Whichever you'd like. If you want to email them, that would be great. I'm just gonna keep a list of everything. Or we can talk about it at a meeting too. If we all want to have a discussion about it together, I think that would be a good idea too.
This is off topic though, is this about Ojibwe Island?
Oh,
Okay, so that's gonna be you won't be able to drive around the whole island anymore, will you?
Yeah,
I think you
I think
can.
you can.
the same area you can now.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that there's any changes to the.
They're,
Not accurate, that's correct.
Huh?
Well,
Floyd.
yeah, they're gonna keep the drive there, but they're adding
A bike lane.
a bike lane
Right.
to the edge of the drive is
So
what
what's
I'm-
gonna happen to the people that wanna park there? You can't park there, there's no reason.
I think it's gonna be a designated,
Oh, maybe,
area.
okay, yeah, okay.
I know. I think it's gonna be, well, from my understanding, I thought it was gonna be separated out
And you might be right, it
from
might be
the
separate.
road, because they paved, they painted lines there, which nobody ever adhered to.
It's
So
not
you were
motorized trail.
dodging
There's no curbs
traffic.
either, so you'd want the bike path to be separated.
Oh, no, I saw the bike path, that's there for sure, but I'm just saying, that one lane, if when you could drive around,
Because people are parking on it, so you couldn't really,
you couldn't, yeah. It's very interesting.
yeah. That was my understanding.
I never did see
But,
a plan
you know,
for
there's other things that are in the works too with that bike trail.
it. Yeah.
Okay, if we have no other comments,
Move to adjourn.
interest, concerns, additions, deletions, we are adjourned.